Hello, sorry about that. Um, just had a meeting run long because we were talking about archiving somebody's project, and they wanted to make sure that we were giving the project every chance it could be given, and the answer was kind of yes that we had. But those are never fun conversations.
No, what project was it?
It was a sub project of Knative.
Oh.
It was called Security Guard, and
Hmm.
the idea they had was basically, what if we run a piece of security software alongside the proxy that Knative runs for managing the number of concurrent requests to a pod. They were like, hey, there's this place here, basically lets us run a sidecar. What if we do that and, gave you a bunch of like smart firewalling automatically? And the
Yeah.
answer was, well, um, there's a lot of other places you could do that, and nobody particularly goes to Knative to look to firewall their applications, so nobody really used it. But yeah, didn't mean that they didn't feel bad about losing it.
I see. Yeah, I remember when Knative kind of well, I was at VMware, right? It was a long time ago. I think we were both at VMware at that time. You were, I think, working on build packs or something like that. I remember you was that not you? No, that wasn't you.
I
That was
mean, I was tangentially involved in function frameworks, which were going to use build packs, but I also was just standing around a lot yelling.
well,
But
my
I
point
don't know
was
what you were thinking of.
my point was that I remember when Knative came out, it was like there was a lot of different pieces to it. It was quite big in its scope. It was kind of like you could do all these things with it. And um everything from just all the different sub
It
projects. And
had
so
it had a couple different pieces to it.
yeah, and so I remember like my initial impression of it when looking at it was like, wow, there's like a whole toolkit that I can do a whole bunch of stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that there would be
Well,
like sub projects or sub repos or whatever that
yeah.
people did experiments, but then it didn't like take as a project in its own right. So so when we archive things, does it get rolled to anywhere or does it just
I
get
mean, it's
archived?
archive, like the GitHub archive thing.
No, I mean the idea to use Knative for doing that piece of functionality,
Um,
or is it just was it just an experiment that didn't have legs or something?
it. I think it was an experiment that didn't have legs, largely because there was already a mechanism for doing that, um, and so we didn't need a new mechanism for doing that.
I see. Um, so if I seem distracted, it's because I'm in a bit of a dev tunnel. So I went
Okay,
ahead and I did some of the stuff that was recommended last week. So
great.
I can push a branch if you want to see it, or I could share a Google Sheet with some of the data, but
I
I'm
mean,
not sure that
I
you
think
care right
sharing a
now. But
Google sheet with some of the data, like,
yeah,
I don't know if I've made it clear, but
no, that's
I'm
what
more
I'm
interested in the
prepping for
data than the
tomorrow. You want to
software.
get the results. So what I've done is I've expanded
Hmm.
that tool because it already pulled CI workflows and files, and GraphQL is a really handy way to get at
Hmm.
security insights files, as Jen had suggested, which
Okay.
one would hope have a wealth of information in them. Um, uh, I have found that of the 233, so I now pulled, I can pull in less than a minute or two because the GraphQL queries are so nice and compact.
Okay.
I can pull the whole CNCF 233 projects. 21 of them have that I can find security insights files. 21. So that's like 10% of all CNCF projects actually have a security insights file. And I found about 8 or 9 S bombs buried
And
in there. So that kind of answers the like if people make security insights files, it would make things more discoverable. And we'll have to, but now begins the sort
I'm
of
sure
this.
that Eddie will be happy to hear that because he's been working on security insights.
Oh yeah, well, so I'm still working on some of the queries. I went ahead and I use DuckDB now, so I've got DuckDB. It's
Okay.
much more handy. In order to get at the contents of the security insights file without writing a bunch of like awful JSON processing code,
There's two
idiomatically.
versions of security insights as well. I don't know if
Yes,
you've
there's like a
encountered both.
V1 and a V2.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at the V2, but I've only
That's
found
the right.
21 one
Yeah.
insights tools. I'm not using the Go stuff. It looks like there's a Q schema for it, and Q can generate Go types. And like if I didn't want to
Uh-huh.
like make a whole
Yeah.
Go project out of it.
Yeah, no,
So instead, I just pull them all down with GraphQL queries, which is nice because then I don't have to care about what
mhm.
branch it is and use the REST API. So I've got the security insights files if they exist. Um,
Yep.
my 21, my 10% number might be off because I'm only looking in the root of the repos now. I'm in the middle of checking in the .github folder where you can also park them. And I also haven't done the next step, which I'm doing this afternoon, which is like zoom out and look at all the other repos in the org for each project, other than just the ones they advertise. So like I don't expect to find anything
So
there.
I didn't realize that there was an option for additional repos, and I'll admit I haven't yet gone in and filled those out for Knative. But yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the projects do it in the landscape.yaml that the CNCF
Mhm.
curates, but CLO Monitor also has its own YAML, which looks like it's more descriptive and just duplicates the same information, but of course it's a different schema. But in there, for the additional repos, they tell you what scanners they're looking for, like the code scanner, the linter
Uh-huh.
scanner. CLO Monitor has all these linters. And so I haven't cracked open that file yet. I think I'm going to, based on what I'm finding now, because I think the information there seems to have a lot in it that the landscape doesn't track. So it might be like a better source of info to get at some of the sub repos. Like a lot of the
Thank you for
projects in
pointing
there,
that out to me. I don't know how much you're familiar with this OpenSSF security baseline project. I
I've heard of it like
won't blame
tangentially,
you.
and I've heard a lot of discussion about it, but I've never heard anyone say like it's this. So I forked CLO Monitor and I started digging into it.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things is it's not just the CNCF. So like that goal that
Mhm.
we have that if we find something that works for us, these other Linux foundations might benefit. There are analogous configuration files for those other landscapes in the CLO Monitor repo as well. And
Uh-huh.
what I've been finding for the CNCF configuration file is it has much more detail about subrepos. So many of the projects report specific, like 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes more different
Yeah.
subrepos that have various interesting things.
Um,
So I might go to that now that I have like a working baseline.
yeah.
But
So security baseline, if you depending on who you talk to, will have slightly different um opinions. But roughly it was a project that was spawned um to make it easier for OSPOs and things like that to figure out what which of their dependencies were higher or lower risk
mhm,
with respect to things like CRA. And so it
right.
specifies a set of security best practices. Um, although it's not all security, some of it's governance and stuff too. And there's discussion about whether that stays in or goes out. But that's all sausage in the middle. But the one of the interesting things that the OpenSSF has not grappled with as effectively as I'd like um, is what is a project.
Hmm. I'm running into
Um,
that now because I have an entity in my data model called project, and like there's 233 of them, and I can track multiple repos, but like it starts
on
getting
possibly
squirrely.
multiple GitHub orgs.
Right. Well, so yes, exactly. So by
So
repo, I mean owner repo, like the
yeah,
two tuple.
slugs.
It's a list of that two tuple is how I'm
Yeah,
considering a project.
yeah.
But like what's in scope versus what's out of scope gets really interesting, particularly like many things have operators now, as one would expect. There are community driven Helm
I mean,
charts.
operators strike me as uh, an enormous mistake, but I understand how they happen.
Ooh, please clarify because the operator pattern is kind of like one of the core foundational
Yes,
like
and I actually
Kubernetes
have no
patterns
problem
and
with the operator pattern, but using an operator for installing the software, a la OpenShift.
yeah,
Um,
a lot of you have a Helm chart that installs an operator, then the operator goes and
but the operator can create and manage arbitrary resources on the cluster.
mhm.
in
including.
that it is a Turing machine.
Yep.
And if you want to ask, can this Turing machine do a thing? The answer is maybe, who knows?
Yeah,
Not completely, but to a larger extent than you might be comfortable with. And so uh, putting everything into operators rather than into manifests, even Helm manifests, which have a little bit more Turing in them than I would like to, um, but makes it really difficult to statically look at a thing and say, what's in here?
that's true.
Like
Um,
if I want to install, a bunch of software from Helm, I can do the rendered manifest pattern. And I can check in the Helm charts, and then I can Helm template them all out. And I can look at the results and be like, these are the things that are going to get installed. And then once an operator comes in that has the ability to create pods, like, where does it get the container image for the pod? It could make it up any way it wants. All of
yeah,
a sudden, like, what S-bombs are in my cluster becomes an unknowable thing.
yeah. Like I have for years, like I ended up having to
I
train.
mean, I understand how we get to this spot, but it's also awkward.
This is there. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
only chart I've found that is actually useful in explaining. This is from the Kubernetes patterns book.
Uh-huh.
I explained the controller, the
Yeah.
controller pattern,
Yeah.
but then like when talking about like what's in an operator and what does that mean because it's such an overloaded term. But
Oh
like,
God, aggregated APIs are such a disaster.
yeah,
Like, I understand how they got there, and oh, no good can come of this.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but here, but yeah, that picture is the only one that I've ever found that's useful in explaining operators. But
Yeah.
operators are actually, we should talk about this, right? Because crossplane is a perfect example of like, it's just, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with crossplane,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah. No,
that
I mean,
whole model of
I'm
declarative composition, and then you end up with like a whole gaggle of operators, thousands of them potentially on even a modest cluster. Um, it's posed it also poses a big problem for just monitoring and observability that I still don't believe we've solved, but I think there's a way to solve it. In that, it's the eventual consistency breaks all logging tools from the past where everything's fine until there's an error. Operators are like fail, 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 fail. And then a minute or two later, finally, hey, it works. So it's just like the pattern is different, but unraveling what
yeah.
they do is the rub. And as best I can tell it with the current operator and dynamic informer architecture that we have, the best way to actually like figure out what an operator does is to run it on an isolated cluster and then like look through the debris. You can register for specific events and specific controller types and all of that. So like you can actually get a pretty good understanding, of what happened, but it's like.
Of what happened in that case.
Right. Well, that's what I mean, because operators can be dynamic and they can make decisions based on what they see.
I
So it's like
recently
it's
had
like your
to.
best case is a crappy solution from a test perspective. And so like we've somehow gone from a declarative, like the whole point of Kubernetes initially to me was like what you see is what you get. Like I want it to look like this. And like that contains container images and effectively what's running.
Mhm.
But this level of indirection that operators give, muddies that a little bit. So,
Yeah, I had to gently scare off someone with a proposal on Knative the other day, and they didn't get too scared, which was good. But they were going to record Kubernetes events whenever a Knative eventing resource was unable to deliver an event to its destination.
ooh, that could make a bad problem worse, right?
That was what I had to tell them. Yes.
Yeah, like if you're in the place where you need the log messages or whatever, like you're just gonna like, yeah,
Well, I
that
mean, if you are
I'll leave it at my
if you're
statement. That
delivering at
can,
1,000 events per second and all of a sudden your destination goes down,
yeah,
making the Kubernetes API server unhappy is not the solution to your problem.
no. Um, no, and
I called it contagion.
so contagion. It's a yeah. I mean, you know, epidemiology really is the right
Yeah.
is the right metaphor, but but this general topic around operator is something that you know I actually tried to do what you suggested. I started with a couple projects and started looking at their build things and started to like figure out, okay,
Hmm.
where are the S bombs I expect to find.
Yeah.
And then I saw the end of the week coming and I went, quick, highlight, you know, implement Jen's idea, which got me more S bombs faster. The Jaeger S bomb is 32 megs of JSON, um,
Okay.
which isn't that big as S bombs go, but it got me just thinking when I was looking through that and a couple others,
Hmm.
what does it mean to have an S bomb for an operator? Right? Like, well, there's actually two things that have been rattling around in my cage that
Hmm.
I don't know that we're going to solve today, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. And one we've been talking about, like, okay, we can have S bombs for all the actual artifacts that an operator installs. So, like,
Uh-huh.
that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, we still have the discoverability problem. Like, I'm going to interrogate a cluster. I'm running these oodles of containers and hashes. How do I go find the S bombs for each one of those? Like, that's a problem by itself. But
Yep.
it would seem to me that like if an operator, particularly if an operator makes different choices based on different environments, like I'm going to do an HA environment versus a proof of concept environment, or a single node versus a multi-node, or I'm going to use this storage versus that storage, it's going to
Yeah.
bring in all kinds of stuff that's different. So it would seem to me that like the operator itself could generate an S bomb and store it in the cluster or elsewhere.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, like it's either the operator knows what it's doing and perhaps dynamically constructs one. Like maybe it's like, oh, I've got all these optional components, and if this optional component comes in, then I pull in this chunk of SBOM stuff that came from my build system. But like just thinking about like how would this be solved? How would an
Yeah.
operator, like what does an SBOM for an operator mean? Um, it's it's situation dependent. So you could have like, here's all the things I might install, or here's all the things I did install and configure. That's one
Yep.
way to do it. Or archaeology is a way to do it. And I can
Hmm.
think how to make a system that would kind of like watch what an operator does, watch all the image pulls, and just like kind of like, you know, you can
Yeah.
catalog what it did for a given test scenario. But again, that's the outside looking in. So, you know,
And it may actually be trickier to do than you're imagining.
oh yeah, no, no. You mean well, at best it's a heuristic, right? Because you have to you're then into the world of like, oh, test matrices and all the
Well,
various
I was
things.
also wondering, how do you actually find the images that it pulls?
Uh, well, when Kubernetes pulls the images to create the pods, you've got logs there that you
So when
can
the
look into.
kubelet does it?
You can tap into the kubelet logs, but there's other ways. There's other runtimes too. Like it might not just be
There's
OCI.
potentially
Like you've
other
got a whole
other.
bunch of other kind of runtimes
Well,
that are not Docker images, right?
I
Like the
didn't say they
Wasm
were
runs.
Docker images. I said that the kubelet was running them. But
Yeah, I mean,
um,
yeah,
but uh, what if I told you that my operator might not specify all the images that the kubelet is asked to run for the pod?
where else would it find them? Are you talking about like operators working in tandem or some kind of
Istio.
janky, huh?
Istio.
Oh, does Istio like do some stuff via Helm and then an operator comes in and
Istio
finds
installs a
artifacts that,
mutating, or in except in sidecarless mode, Istio installs a mutating webhook
right?
that adds its pods to the pod specs when as they come in. So the operator says run this deployment, and then the
Right.
deployment says run this pod, and when it says create this pod, it
Then there's
has
a mutating
more
webhook
containers
that
in
changes the
it
config.
than the deployment did.
Well, right, but the mutating webhook would change the deployment, which would then trigger the controller for the deployment controller then to go do more stuff, and then you can
I
find
think
it.
it may change the pods, but yeah,
I'm sorry, the pod controller. Like I
yeah,
just mean like when
yeah,
you have a mutating webhook, like it changes stuff, but then that triggers those whatever controllers had their config changed to
it
then go
does.
run. So
But
I
if you're
think
looking at the kubelet can't tell which portions of a particular pod
right.
manifest
I
came
think you
from.
have to actually have like a dynamic informer. Um, well, you if you don't care about CRDs, but CRDs are the point here. Like you
Well, I
would
mean,
have
no,
to
I
have
mean,
a
even if
system
you
that
only cared
watches
about
all of
pod,
these. you would have to get state notifications and message from all these different controllers. It's not just the like you can't tell it from the kubelet alone, to your point,
Yeah.
right? Because of just the pattern. Um, so anyway, it got me thinking, I cannot possibly be the first person to think about what does an SBOM mean, when everything is installed by operators, and
I
this whole general problem of like what's running on my cluster. Like, do you know, is there other pockets of thought? I've been ferreting them out.
I would ask Jen.
Okay. I'll ask her
Uh,
direct
why do I ask? Why do I say to ask Jen? Because
because she's
Jen
an
is at
expert.
Red Hat, and Red Hat has been pushing the operator pattern real hard.
Yeah. Well, people have been listening, right? There's an operator for everything. And in some ways, like it's handy, right? Like I can assemble a platform with a bunch of operators, and in theory, I don't have to know how they work. In practice, you end up templating them out and watching them and debugging them and
Yeah.
getting handy. But um, I don't think this problem goes away. And as people are building new control planes and platforms based on all of this, um, it seems like there's a generic solution that could be pitched that people could adopt where operators leave behind um, attestations of a form of what they did, right? So I'll ask Jen, but I can't believe that no one's asked these questions, or I'm surprised there's not already tooling around it, or proposals. The second of two things though that is keeping
Except
me
that
up at
you
night.
also have only been able to find S-bombs for like 10% of the CNCF ecosystem.
No, I've been able to find security insights files for 10%.
But you
I've been
found
able to
S-bombs from
find
other
eight
stuff
S
before that.
bombs so far using the way. Although I'm still plowing through attestations and I'm finding a whole pile of X
Well,
stuff and other
but
things. But
but you did find stuff from earlier too. I was adding in the stuff you found earlier.
yeah, um, but from security insights, I mean that's
Oh, I know
that.
from Security Insights it was less than that. I
Yeah.
was counting all up.
Uh, um, the second thing that kind of concerns me a little bit, and I'm trying to remember the name of the project. I literally trapped. Is it? It's a project that modifies container images for patching container images directly.
Oh, Jeremy Rickard's doing it. Starts with
Yeah,
C.
yeah, it's a sandbox project, and
Yeah.
I'm fascinated and horrified all at the same time.
Oh,
Um,
we've been talking about doing stuff like that for years.
well, yeah, I mean, patching a binary's been done for years, right? I mean, and it's basically a tarball anyway. But
I mean,
I
it's much more structured than patching a binary, but yeah,
it is much more structured. It's not a patch file. It's not like a binary patch file like we used to have in the
yeah,
90s and before. But again, like I suppose the container gets a new SHA, and it's a new
yep.
container once it's been patched.
Copacetic.
Right. Copacetic is the name of the tool.
Yeah.
But like if we have that idiom, we're
Hmm.
like, okay, we're gonna start with blessed binaries and then customize them, not with a K, but
Yeah.
um mutate them. Now we have like another vector for change.
Yep.
Um, I haven't looked at copacetic to see if it like regenerates an S bomb or something like that after, or appends, but it got me thinking, like, now do we have to worry about people patching S bombs in the same way? Like,
Or
I have,
hopefully appending rather than
right.
patching, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, again, I haven't read through the project or its docs yet. I just kind of took a cursory look yesterday and went to bed thinking, like, oh, here's a whole nother vector potentially for, I suppose, fast fixes and customization, but also when we think about like what's running.
I think that's
Um,
probably the relevant thread.
oh, you've already found it.
I went to their
Closed
issues and
as
searched for S-bomb.
Yeah, closed as not planned. Add SBOM attestation to patch. Closed as not planned.
So
Anyway,
they
so my goal for today is to plow through and start looking at container registries, as you had said, and start
mhm.
ferreting out, because I've now got a great data set for like interactive exploratory analysis. Like everything that's in with a quick patch, I can have most projects have a security.md Most don't
Mhm.
have a security insights.md. So I can pull in security.md too, or MD as well. Should be careful. So many acronyms these days. Um, but so like if Trivy is being used or if SIFT is being used,
Yeah.
or then we've got all the raw data to maybe have a better story for tomorrow. But tomorrow I'll present wherever we are, and I'll have some graphs of the actual data that's been found. Um, I want to be brief, bright, and gone, and not walk through how does my tool work, but walk through what data have I
Yeah.
found, right? So that's the goal.
I think that's a great goal.
It's also helped me not over engineer things, because I started to over engineer things because
I
engineers
understand that
working solo
engineering
do
is a
that.
fun thing to do.
Yeah, I've learned so much.
I do have
um,
one question.
DuckDB is great for JSON, by the way. Then I'll hear your question, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm basically converting YAML to JSON and then storing it raw, and then DuckDB has all these great JSON operators to
Yeah.
pull out specific things without getting mired down in a full relational model, which I don't want to do.
Um,
Um,
yeah, Francis was one of the architects behind BigQuery, but BigQuery is often bigger than you need.
yeah, and more expensive. I don't have
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah.
DuckDB is working great. Actually, the
Yeah.
data
No,
the
I
data is
mean,
very small.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's tiny.
So you were talking about having a bunch of stuff for tomorrow.
Oh, having what I've found so far,
Okay.
like I've given like a slightly
I,
time
I,
box, like in a month,
great.
part
Yeah.
time. It's open source, so I haven't been full time on this. But
Yeah.
here's what I've found so far. So that's how I'm going to basically structure it. Be like, I went looking and I was naive, you know. But
Yeah.
I knew I
No,
was
I think
naive
that's,
going in, like, and so this has been
yeah.
part learning and onboarding and ramping for me. But I think I have found some interesting stuff. I can, I should be able to report across the CNCF what tools are people using in their build pipelines. I think that's interesting to know.
So
Um,
the bit that I was going to say was you've been talking about having it for tomorrow, and I wanted to make
isn't
sure
tomorrow the
that you
22nd? Oh, the 22nd. I'm sorry.
the 22nd,
Wednesday. Okay,
Wednesday.
I've got
Yes.
a whole other day. Yeah, in my head, Tuesday is CNCF
I
day, but
that's
it's
fine. I
Wednesday.
just wanted to make sure that you
Nope,
were
you're
going to
absolutely
be
right.
there on Wednesday
Yes, I will
and that
be
you
there
weren't going
on
to show up on
Wednesday.
Tuesday and wonder where everyone was.
Yeah, for 5 or 6 years, both tag observability and the TOC meet on first and third Tuesdays. So I just have drilled into my head that like Tuesday is CNCF meeting day. But yeah, you guys, this is tag security and compliance is on
It's hard
Wednesday.
to fit all of the meetings on
I know.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Um, cool. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I can push a branch or give you some data.
That's
Uh,
fine. No,
but
you've given me
yeah,
the data that I was looking for.
okay. Yeah, so I found another 8 from Security Insights, but I have a feeling I'm going to find a bunch more because I'm double checking my parsing logic, because it turns out that even though there's a nice queue schema, of course, and it's possible to
It's
validate,
written by humans,
it's written by
and
humans,
and
right?
there
And so,
isn't a built-in validation, so you don't get
well,
any feedback if you did it wrong.
right. I mean, it's validatable because there's a queue schema, right? So you can run
Sure.
queue and validate these Security Insights files, which in terms of in trying to not over engineer, I actually
Yeah.
said, nope, I'm not going to validate all of these files. But now that I'm finding there's actually quite a bit of variance, um, I might actually just add in a quick shell out to call Q. But God help me if I start bringing Go into this.
Well, I was going to say, well, I mean, Q's written in Go, I believe,
I know. It's just the only thing. Q can
but
export types,
you
but
don't want to
only
be
Go
writing
types.
Go code, and that's fine.
No, this is SI tools repo, right? And they're, they just have a tiny
Yeah.
little, it's like very, very small, but um,
I'm yes, I'm familiar
yeah.
with all of that.
So I use that as like a cheat sheet to go, know what to do, because I didn't want to learn Q,
Yeah,
last week.
that's okay. I'm not sure that they've really learned Q either.
It looks really cool.
Oh, Q is really
I've been
cool.
aware of it since
Um,
forever because I was a Sonnet fan, and I was like, I'm still
um,
looking for something
Q is
literate.
weird and a little bit of a love letter to like Google's board config, but it maybe is okay anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
I've been helping Eddie with a different place where he's been using Q, and I was like, you can make all these names unique, right? And he's like, what? No way.
names of like entities and things, or
So you have the standard Kubernetes pattern of a list of objects,
hmm
where each object has a name field.
yes.
In Q, you can declare in the schema that all those names are unique.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
Um,
Does it make them
you can
unique or
also
just
declare
yell at
that,
you when they're not?
oh, well, it's an invalid document.
Okay. Yeah.
It will tell you what line it is that makes it an invalid document.
hmm
Um, you can also say this field here matches this other field over here in a different place.
Yeah.
And again, it will complain if they don't um, match up. For Gamara, which is sort of round 2 of security insights in some respects, but it's an attempt to declare um, from threats to controls to like evidence, how to find stuff. His schema was very flexible because he didn't know how to do some of those constraints. And so I was helping him with that because I needed to understand what he could actually express. And he's like, well, you could express
Yeah.
that. No one would want to. And I'm like, can we make the schema say it's illegal? Because
Yeah.
that would make me a lot happier.
So have you heard of Zod? I actually like partially implemented this yesterday and then threw it away because I was like, this is too much nonsense. But it's a schema validation, it's a JSON schema validation tool that's very popular in TypeScript.
Okay.
Um, it does something like Q, but in TypeScript. Um,
Does it really?
yeah, they just came out with a version 4. You can actually do transformations. It's not just validation. You can actually mutate data with it, but then you're mutating.
Oh,
It's
so
pretty
Q
neat.
does unification.
What?
Q does unification.
Yeah, you can take a whole bunch of little files and then get a super like a union set file, right? Like that has all of the things rolled into one giant config.
Uh, no, you can say um, in one file, A is an integer between 4 and 8.
hmm
And in a second file, you can say A is the integer 7.
Right. And there's like a hierarchical overrides as you go, right? Like
No, it's not overrides. They both have to be true.
oh,
So if you set A to be 9 in another file, then your Q is invalid and it will say, hey, you said A was an integer between 4 and 8, and over here you said it was 9. What's up?
hmm.
Which is a very fancy trick. Um, I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I looked at Q, I actually read a bunch of the docs and the spec, and I said, like, this is a lot of rope. Like, this is really
I
cool,
mean,
but you could
yeah,
also build a monster with it.
yes,
I definitely like the drying up of config, right? Like, I was using Tanka
yeah,
before Grafana went and changed their licenses, but I really liked the combination of like JSON it plus like Git semantics. So you could kind of like just like you would do a Git diff, you could do like show me what's different between my local config when hydrated and my cluster. So you had
yeah.
this like nice iterative dev model. Um, and I liked case on it. Uh, I customized. You kind of have to know it, but I never really liked it, you know.
Mhm.
And so I've kind of like been on the quiet prowl for something that I like for config, and I had thought Q for a long time, but I've not taken the plunge.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
hadn't done anything with Q. I mean, I'd looked at it and I said, oh, that's really clever. That looks about 6 degrees too clever.
mhm.
And so I hadn't done anything with it. But I discovered that Eddie was using it. And so I was like, well, if you've already gone there, then why don't we go there?
Yeah. Oh, I do have a question for you that you might
Yeah.
just know the answer to, and you might be able to save me some time today and tomorrow. Um, so Kubernetes doesn't use GitHub Actions for building things, as I understand,
Yeah.
right? Because reasons. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so do they have sort of a standard way for S-bombs? I've been kind of
I'm
sleuthing
sorry, your
around.
audio cut out.
Oh, do they have like a standard way to generate SBOMs and attestations in their custom build system? I've been kind of sleuthing around, but I'm not a Kubernetes build expert. I've never really contributed to Kubernetes proper. Um, So
Um,
is it kind of like sig by sig, or is there sort of a top down? This is how we do it.
they have a way that all of their components use to generate SBOMs.
Okay.
Um, I don't know whether I would describe it as standard. In the same way that like the Kubernetes release process is its own large effort.
Hmm.
Generating those SBOMs is part of the release process, and is a set of tools that they build and manage for that. So they have a set of tools for all of that. Is it standard? I
Well, I
doubt it,
mean, is it
but
used
it's
widely? Like,
common. It's used within the project consistently, and probably not used outside the project at all.
right, but Kubernetes
Like
is
less
so
than their
big, it's
cool
worth
release
going
release
after,
notes
right?
thing.
Yeah.
I've stolen their release notes thing, but I haven't stolen the rest of their build stuff because, yeah.
Okay. Do you know what it's called? I mean, I'm looking around.
Give me a moment.
Yeah, I'm looking through issues and stuff. I mean, I'm sure I can find it, but I thought you might have a pointer to like, oh,
Um,
wow. I searched for SBOM in all issues and there's only
um,
7.
if I had to guess, it's probably this thing, which I guess is really
Bomb.
this thing.
Oh, bomb. Okay, so this is what it's not just Kubernetes that uses this, I believe. Um, I think the
That is possible.
Istio
I
uses
noticed
it
that it's
too.
under Kubernetes SIGs, so um, I would be cautious about taking a dependency on it.
Oh, I'm not taking dependency. I'm just like I'm hoping to just understand how they. I was hoping there was sort of like a tool or something they use because then I can look for instances of that tool and potentially find all the Kubernetes SBOMs all in one place. But
um,
oh wait, they actually have instructions. Okay, I just found this, so I will read this. I think I just
yeah, Kubernetes has instructions for validating their SBOMs.
yeah. So they're using the bomb tool. So so if they're not using GitHub Actions, then to build stuff, they're using is it Prow? I think
I'm
Prow
sorry,
is
your
it.
audio cut out again, or my
Sorry, I
speakers cut out. One of the two.
no, I'm not sure which it is. I might need to boost the signal more gain, whatever. Up. How is
Well, that's working for now.
how's that? Is that better? Hello,
Um,
hello. Mic check, mic
yes.
check. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'll just read this and figure it out.
Yeah.
Basically, how can I get at their logs? Really is the
Mm-hmm.
question. Um, and I'm guessing they're using the
Um,
checks API. So even though they're not using GitHub Actions, they might still have some hooks in there that I can use to
yeah, I mean, they're
figure
building
out.
everything using Prow. So they've
Hmm.
got an enormous YAML file that runs Kubernetes jobs to do stuff.
Mm. And then
Um,
those logs are they must be
but
persisted. But
but you shouldn't need to care about that, and they should write them. Probably they're writing them in the way that cosine was, but maybe not. Like there's a standard way if you have an OCI artifact to fetch the SBOMs for that. Now, how do you get the SBOMs for stuff like kube control and the like stuff you squirt locally onto a server? I don't know. Puerco would know.
who?
Uh,
I don't.
Puerco, Adolfo Garcia Veta. But on like CNCF Slack, it's just Puerco. And I believe also on GitHub.
Yeah. I'll reach out to him. I'll reach out to Dims too. I know Dims has been in the middle of Kubernetes release for a long time, so he might know where some
Yeah.
skeletons or tools are. I'm mostly looking to not reinvent things because I want to move forward on actually doing stuff with SBOMs
Yeah.
and not get
Well,
more sidetracked than I have been. But it's just been enlightening that it's
and
not more.
the caution I would give you is that Kubernetes is a large project that does a bunch of things in custom ways that don't necessarily fit for other CNCF projects.
Yeah. So it might be
So
worth just leaving alone. Open
um,
telemetry is a lot of the same way. Like it's just so big that
it's
it's
it's big. It's got its own processes because it started before anything else had them, and they may not be the best processes, but it's not worth disrupting their processes for them.
oh yeah, I wouldn't
And
want to
so,
disrupt
like,
anything.
moving them to GitHub Actions is just not a feasible option, even if it would be better than Prow.
Oh
And it's
no, I'm
not in
not
some
suggesting
cases.
they do. Again, I am purely just looking
Yeah,
for S bombs. That's it, and other attestations. So,
yeah.
and they're like a huge checkbox, right? Same thing with OTel. Like if I
I
can
was
in
going
a
to say
generic way do
Knative has
OTel,
S
then
bombs. I know that.
hmm
Um, but if you find them, I will be, without having read our documentation, I will be impressed and pleased.
okay. Well, um, yeah, one of the things that's kind of neat about DuckDB I've been finding is that there's these nice plugins, and one of them lets you talk HTTPS as a file system, so you can like
Okay.
pull files and directly out of places and slurp them in without a bunch of custom scripting. But um, yeah, OCI repos are the next sort of like place to spider out to. Um,
Yes.
um, but anyway, I think that's all I had for today. Um, if you if you do want to see the tool or some of the queries I'm doing, I can push a branch, but it's
Nah.
kind of I'm still iterating and
As I said, um, once we have data that we are happy with,
yeah, then
I
it
would like to
matters
look
more.
at what you have.
Yep.
Until then, I'm more interested in, did you get a thing that makes sense?
Yeah.
Because I
So
could write a large amount of code
yeah,
to produce gibberish, and it's not worth anybody's time reviewing it
correct. Yep.
until it's not gibberish.
Of course. Um, yeah, so I'm hoping that those numbers I mentioned about security insights kind of go up. I'm hoping that my queries are just not finding things. I'm actually in the middle of debugging some stuff, but
So
I thought I would find more than 8 out of 234 three
I am
projects.
not surprised by that at all.
You're not.
Um, Security Insights is an effort to some extent to, by force of will, get open source contributors to collect a bunch of security relevant information in a format that's easy for one or two tools to consume, because
Yeah.
that's all that are consuming them right now, because nobody's producing them.
What other than CLO monitor consumes them, do you know?
Does CLO Monitor consume them?
Uh
I think it might consume V1,
I think
but
it
not
might
V2.
consume, yeah, but not V2.
LFX Insights consumes them a little bit through a system called Privateer that Eddie wrote.
Privateer. Is that public or is it like a lot of the other LFX Insight stuff where it's behind a corporate
It's
wall?
behind something.
All right, so it's not just there. I can
Um,
just get at it.
and I don't feel like I can adequately represent what's going on there, and I would hate to mischaracterize it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I've talked to the LFX Insights team, a couple other different
But
team members, and I
um,
have a general idea, but you're right, it's not open, so I can't consider it.
well, I mean, you can consider it, but
I can't use it. Yeah,
you can't use it necessarily.
correct.
And there isn't, like, license files have both a long history and have been promoted by the various forges as a standard place to indicate what your license is.
Right.
Similarly, READMEs have both history and tooling support behind them. Um, uh, I'm trying to remember what it is. A security.md
Yeah.
for security context and stuff is something that GitHub is trying to force to make happen.
Oh, really? Okay.
They
Well,
will show you the repo's security policy if you have a security MD
oh yeah, in their UI. So
in their UI. So
that's one thing I'm pulling too, by the way. So I have like
in
database
in
access
my
to.
mind, that's a forcing effect. Hey, a lot of people don't have this, but if they do, we'll highlight it. But
It's incentive based. Yeah.
that's working with the leverage that GitHub has to do that type
Hmm.
of thing. Security Insights doesn't have the GitHub leverage, but is trying to do kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So security.md is one of the things that I'll pull. So I'll have it in DuckDB with a full text search index. So like, it's but it's very unstructured, right? And you
Yeah.
almost
No, I mean,
and I've looked through about 30 security MD files last night, and I found like one or two references to anything like an
yeah,
SBOM or attestation. There's a lot of good info there and subsequent links for humans, and a lot of like we respond to issues, but like it's pretty loosey goosey, and I haven't found it.
just like readme.md is.
Yeah, like it doesn't.
Turns out it was written for humans
Yeah, pesky humans, and I
without
haven't.
without any kind of enforced schema. The only reason
Yeah,
that license files have ontology is like 30 years of effort from OSI and FSF um, to like define an ontology for those things.
yeah,
And really it was 20 years and then 10 years of like leveraging that, but to make it common enough that everyone just assumes that that works. But
right.
yeah. So yeah, a large portion is there isn't a good way to, for example, say this is part of this larger project, or to say, oh hey, here's this information. And so there's no real strong incentive to create a security insights file. There's no real
Yeah.
strong incentive to put content in a security MD that's of a particular format. And so nobody does. If you could kick that flywheel off, maybe it would run. But you've got a 2-ton flywheel and you're like, why does this thing not spin? I pushed it with my finger.
Well, so that was, I mean, that was part of my motivation for launching this little baby initiative in the first
Yeah.
place was like, okay, we have these mechanisms that seem to be underutilized. What kind of bacon can we give people? Like, if you make this, then you get this, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's CI workflows or whether it's cool
Um,
reports or whether it's better warning for whatever. Like,
yeah.
there must be something to incentivize people to engage, right? Because open source is all carrots and no sticks. Um, I guess we'll see where we get to.
Yeah. Um, OWASP is also working on something um, around making it easier to detect S-bombs. And I don't know exactly what it is. Someone told me about it last week.
Okay.
And I haven't had
OWASP,
a
you
chance.
said?
OWASP, yeah.
That's OWASP.
Yep.
We like so many acronyms.
Oh my goodness.
Those Overwatch active server pages, right? That's what that stands for. Cool.
I don't even know what it stands for anymore. Open Worldwide Application Security Project. But they're the ones who publish the like top 10 security vulnerabilities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at their site now. So this
I'm
is
sorry.
yet another.
Oh yeah.
So many. Cool.
Yep.
All right, cool. So they use bomb. Bomb generate.
And I mean, part of the problem as well is that everyone has their own idea about this stuff and they're all pushing their own ideas. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if somebody else's idea, gains traction, well, that kind of means that all the work that you did goes out the window. And so it's hard to cooperate on this stuff, even if everyone sort of wants to.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
was
that's
just,
familiar to you with OTel.
yeah. Um, I'm looking at the bomb stuff, and this looks like a cool tool, but of course it just has how to use it, and then there you have locally a file. So,
Yeah.
uh,
What do they do with it after that?
yeah. Well, I'll be able to tell real fast if people are using bomb across the CNCF projects. I'm sure some are. I know Istio does. From
That's
our
not surprising. They inherited um, a lot of Kubernetes infrastructure stuff.
yeah. Um, okay.
Yeah, that is really interesting. So I'm looking at the changelog for Kubernetes, and they have hashes for all of the components, and they have tar-gzs for all the components. And I don't see anything about SBOMs, which is not to say I don't think they're publishing them. I just
Mhm.
think that they're being unclever about it.
I mean, I would guess this ends up in an OCI repository. Either that or there's a very large file server somewhere,
Well,
object
so
storage or a
like
bucket.
you've got the client binaries.
Yep.
I can't imagine those ending up on an OCI server.
No, I mean the SBOMs, like these tools that generate SBOMs, like all the instructions are like, and then you have locally your SBOM. So I just got to go backtrack and figure out where they're pushing
Well,
it.
I suspect they end up on object store somewhere, but
Yeah, so I meant like a big bucket somewhere.
yeah, but OCI is actually um, a specific format.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, um, I don't know. I mean, if I didn't know anything other than like some basics, and I had an
Yeah.
SBOM that was regularly coming out, that regularly had versions, and I needed wide distribution without me building a distribution network, I would probably look to OCI, right? Just as a way to
But
persist and disseminate my stuff versus like you know object storage. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure they're sitting in a bucket always,
well,
and really a lot of OCI repos are stuff in
they're
front of a
backed by
bucket.
object storage.
Yeah, I mean, but
But I'm not sure whether the tagging that you need to do for OCI registries is helpful for SBOMs. Like you've got tags and okay,
it's a
well,
flat tag
how do
space.
you tag things
Hmm.
and can you move a tag and
Mm.
you know all
Actually,
the
the ability
other
to retarget a tag is probably a fly in
it
the ointment.
may not be helpful.
Yeah,
um, on the other hand, you've also got the content addressable version, and that may not be helpful because you don't know what content address to look for the
right.
SBOM.
So you still have the whole where's the index or
So
so maybe
like
buckets are as good as it gets for
like I'm not sure if you win anything or not.
yeah.
um, but yeah, um, it may still be worth dropping a line to Dims and or Puerco and saying, okay, how do I get one of the SBOMs for a particular Kubernetes thing?
Yeah, or we're, how do I find them all? Because I
But if you
imagine
know how
it's
to get one, presumably the others are either in the same place
or in an
or it's all
analogous
screwed
place.
up.
Maybe it's all screwed up. We'll see.
Well, but I mean, if it's all screwed up, then you'll get a long explanation that doesn't help you.
Yeah.
If they're all in the same place, then just finding one is enough to find
Yeah.
them all.
So like Kubernetes and OTel are the two big mega projects that I have as work items to go after.
Okay.
And I'm trying to like get breadth first before I dive into them. But now that I have some working things,
Yeah.
I'll look to the others. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for your insight as
Yep.
always.
And you might
You're
look
like,
and see. So actually, you said you found 8
yeah, I can
project
tell you which ones
security
they are if you want.
insights
Yeah.
SBOMs.
Yep, they
Yeah,
are.
if you want to show me those, actually, I was
Yeah,
going to
here.
say it may be worth looking to see if there's a pattern.
Yeah, here's the link.
I'm an engineer. I love,
Yeah.
taking three things and turning them into a line.
Like literally 3 minutes before the meeting, I added a little thing to do a CSV export. Right now it's all Parquet and DuckDB, but those are the ones that I found. Now, that's not to say that there are not more buried in security insights files, but there's only 21 in security insights files that I found so far out of the 233 projects. But these ones are declared in the attestation, in the security insights files.
Okay. Oh God.
And again, this is like
These are, yeah.
I have not yet cracked open the CLO monitor config file for CNCF, which has like way more sub repos per
Yeah. No,
project. So that's my next step, and I might find a whole bunch more in the sub repos. Not the main one singular repo or the ones that are declared as additional in landscape.yaml. CLO monitor seems to have a bigger list. So, but it's also not a full list. Like it's like very spotty.
oh shit.
What?
Okay. So I pulled out the one of these things that the project capsule one that didn't look like it was under releases. And
Yeah.
it appears that they broke their SBOM generation 9 months ago.
Wait, so let me look at that one. So like SBOM file for capsule. I hadn't looked at that one yet. Docker pull. See?
They have a release that was like 3 days ago, but
Published 9 months ago.
that one was published 9 months ago, so they broke their SBOM publishing.
Or they're manually publishing it because they don't have a good way to do it yet.
Possibly, but I would argue that effectively means it's broken.
Yep. Yeah, so they're pushing it right to a Docker repo. Haha.
So they're pushing it to a container repo. If you look at the 4 projects above that, they're all putting them in their releases.
That's weird that I didn't pull
because
out.
they contain releases, latest, or awesomely in k8gb.io. It's a particular release, so they need to update their security insights every time that they publish a release, and I bet that they are not doing that.
Yeah, another
You've
thing I'm
also
not.
found the security insights v1 files, not the v2 files.
Yeah, I'm just looking for anything called security insights. But
So then,
I'm also not parsing the parent-child thing. You can do like baked into the security insights format is this. I haven't cracked it open yet, but I derive from a parent. Like I haven't I haven't messed with that at all yet.
I don't think there's a derive. I think it's my information is over here, but
yeah, I'm sorry, not a derivation, but I had assumed that there was like common stuff in a parent block and then additional stuff in the church. So it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like deriving from a base class if that base class has common stuff. So schema version 1, yeah.
Yeah. So version 2 is usually in .github and maybe lowercased because joy.
Okay, well, cool. That gives me more stuff to add to because it's all case sensitive. I really didn't want to go write something that I've written before to like go clone a whole pile of repos, and I don't want to do that if I don't have to. The GraphQL way seems to be working much faster.
Great.
We just pull down the head of the file.
But yeah, you've found
last updated 2023 for the security insights file last update, and then
yeah.
So
I complained to Porco about this, and they fixed it in v2. The SBOM link is meant that you had to update your security insights effectively every single time that you did a release, which I pointed out was dumb and was going to require a bunch of tooling that was going to be incompatible with humans writing things. And they seem to have fixed it for V2, but you are finding the V1 version.
Yeah, I've only found V1s so far, it looks like.
Well, as I said, V2 is in a different place and doesn't have a specific SBOM entry.
Okay, so yeah, I thought it was weird that SBOMs are dependencies. Like that was odd to me.
Um,
Um,
V1 was a hot mess. V2 is a different mess.
yeah.
Um,
So the one thing I haven't found, and we're over
uh-huh.
time now, is where does this like security insights I found at the SI tools repo, the security insights project itself, and I found CLO monitor, which kind of like looks is a different thing, but kind of like looks for
Uh-huh.
those two. Does the security insights like is there a registry of all the people who have self-declared that they have one of these? It's just like a
No,
standard and it loosey
it's an
goosey.
attempt to be a standard. Where V2 is entirely incompatible with V1. V1 was not widely adopted. Um,
Well, now I'm understanding a couple bugs that I was working on this morning because I built all this assuming V2. I didn't even think that there would be
and then you
V1
found all the
files.
V1
And then I found all the
files,
V1 files and my stuff was falling over and I was like, what is happening? Because I did some work to actually make an actual data model that follows the Q spec using that.
which would be great if that was the thing that was operative. Yes.
But like there's nowhere that's validating these. There's no central registry for them. They're just
No. There's a
what is it?
small number of tools that look at them.
Is there something other than CLO monitor, if that even does look at them? I mean,
For V2, it's LFX Insights and Privateer, as far as I know.
okay, so both private things. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, this has been helpful immensely. Now I'm going to go. I have a whole bunch of things that I might get my numbers up really fast. I find the nature of this is like, oh, here's a
Your
class of thing.
optimism is, I hate to crush it.
It's uncrushable, man. It's one of my like innate skills. Like to the
Great.
point, to a fault,
Good.
I can be hopelessly optimistic because what's the alternative, right? We cry and stop working and making progress, right? So
Salty beer.
salty beer. Yes. I don't really drink much anymore. So um, I got too old for it.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't like the salty stuff. So I try to remain an optimist and that
Yep.
way it's dopamine
That's
alone.
great. Um, yeah. I'm
Somebody
afraid
told
that I
me
have gotten cynical about all of this, and
somebody told me this was a fool's errand. I will protect their anonymity and they're not related to any of the tag stuff. They're just like
oh,
a watcher of open
oh, I
source
thought
code.
that was me.
No, 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 no. When I said I was like writing up the security insights thing, they were like, "This is folly. Like you're gonna like burn out trying to do this." I was like, "No, it's not possible. This must be solved. Like our industry can't really reliably move forward without this being solved." And now that we have AI writing code and then running it all at once, like like
That'll make things better.
I mean, yeah, it's the same pattern. It's the same patterns and ideas, just in a new, more dynamic context. So, maybe we can bring some learnings from this forward.
Yeah.
Um, Uh, oh, I'll put a bug in your ear and I'll send you a link later. But
Yep.
the Model Context Protocol project itself looked
Uh-huh.
at integrating with OpenTelemetry a while back,
Okay.
um, and had some community members like write up a whole big like
Uh-huh.
here's what we found. And then the issue just kind of like petered out and stalled. This is
Yeah.
like close to a year ago. So
Yeah.
now that we have this white paper, I haven't joined the Slack. I've been
Hmm.
fighting the urge to because it's like it's another
Yeah.
thing that I'm interested in. But I think
Yeah.
that it is important that that white paper kind of get into how are we observing the authentication mechanism and that gets into how is MCP integrating with OTel. And there's a couple
I think it
different ways
depends
to
on the
do it.
length of the paper.
Yeah. So I don't know
If
what their
it ends
scope
up
is.
being a 40 pager like the IAM one, then it would be foolish not to have some observability stuff in there. If it ends up being concise and like 5 pages, I'm not sure that monitoring is going to get much of a go in there. But neither are a lot of other interesting topics.
Well, I guess I'm maybe not for the paper itself, but like as a tag chair for
Hmm.
security, um, it's not just a security concern, right? Like what MCP does is not just I mean, there's the whole security, authentication, authorization,
Yeah.
all of that. But then there's actually what it's doing, right? Which is
Yeah.
connected to a bunch of different backends. And it's like a perfect use case for like comprehensive observability. Um, I haven't seen a lot of
I think
places.
that well, so there's a MCP access control white paper, but that's specifically focused on auth star issues.
Yeah, that's the one that is
Yeah.
being run
And I'm
today.
not sure that
No,
comprehensive visibility is part of that charter.
it is not. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking, like, what do you think the right place for that is? Because like
I
there's the AI
mean,
working group, there's tag
I think it's
operational
the AI
resilience.
working group, and then maybe it'll get fobbed off onto
I know
the.
there's people on OTEL looking at it too, but
I think I think the AI working group is the place to start the conversation, and then it may get fobbed off to tag operational resilience or something else like that after after it comes up as yeah, this is a topic is important enough that we feel like we should discuss it.
what's FOB?
Fob,
Is that an
like handed
acronym?
off, fobbed off, like
No, I got it from context. I didn't know if you were invoking a new acronym that I hadn't heard before.
it's English.
Oh, fobbed. Oh, it's a word. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How funny that in
Um,
this world, I think something is an acronym before I think it's an actual word.
uh, uh, only about 400 years of usage.
Ah, okay. It's a baby. Cool. All right. Well, have a great day. Thanks for going over.
1597.
Yeah. I want to respect your time.
Okay.
And I could
Yeah.
talk to you for an unlimited amount of time, but I actually do want to crank on this because I'm all fired
Yeah.
up.
No, I've got stuff to do too. So,
All right. Cool. I'll circle
including
back.
some archaeology.
Yeah, I'll send you a preview if I can tomorrow,
Okay.
but you know what's coming
Yeah.
on the Wednesday meeting.
I mean, I think at least a summary of like, hey, we found this many things,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I'll give you some charts and stuff.
if
Yeah.
you can take them and if you can take all the things you find, fetch them and throw them into Guac and see if Guac throws up on any of them, that might be interesting to do as well as a
Yeah.
cheap well-formedness check.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice because I see I hadn't even considered that I would have to validate S bombs like people, but
But I'm not even saying you have to validate S
oh
bombs.
yeah,
I'm
you
just
just need
saying
to see
throw
what
them
Guac
into
does.
Guac, and if Guac is like, I can't ingest this thing, then call that out.
Yeah, well, I have actually Guac and that whole dgraph
Yeah,
Guac thing locked and loaded, just waiting for S bombs.
yeah.
So
So my
um,
point is, see
yeah,
if
I'll
you
see
can
if I can do
actually
that too,
download all the S bombs that you're given and throw them in, regardless of whether or not they're any good.
just to
And
see what happens. Yeah.
just hopefully you'll say, and Guac was able to parse all of these. We haven't analyzed further, but
Yeah, like I want to see what happens when I throw the Jaeger S bomb, which is
yeah,
a modest
yeah,
32 megs of JSON, um, and just see what happens to Guac resource wise. I'm sure
yeah,
it will be fine because at Apple I threw tens of thousands of S bombs at Guac, but it was
yeah.
a very big instance.
I mean, I think it's worth doing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
cool. Rock on.
see you.